So Bernie has given his big address, and despite many in the media predicting that this would be him dropping out of the race, he did not. He did not drop out of the race, and he didn't endorse Hillary Clinton. But that doesn't mean that it's the speech that I or many other people were hoping to hear. While it was very inspirational, and I will cover that, we do have to be honest with what speech he gave. And it seems like it is, at the very least, a signal of a change in strategy for Bernie Sanders going forward, which he will do. He will go forward. He said, we're going to Philadelphia. He's going to bring along all of those the delegates that he has fought and worked so hard for, that his followers around the country have fought to give him. And he listed in great detail, the way that he always does, the numerous issues that has driven his campaign and that has caused so many to see him as the person we need leading our country. But at the same time, he didn't attack Hillary Clinton. He didn't say, we're going to Philadelphia and we're going to win this thing. Most notably, perhaps. He said, we're going to go and we are going to fight for... Sorry, it's still affecting me. We're going to fight for the revolution, and we're going to fight for these issues. Not that we're going to fight to win. Not that we're going to fight, and I will be the nominee, and I will be the president. And as I've pointed out in some of his speeches over the past week or two, he talked very often about the need to defeat Donald Trump. Now, there are various ways that you can take that, and you can say that by that he means that he is willing to do anything. He is willing to run independent or run on the Green Party. Neither things that I think he's really given any indication that he plans on doing. Some people will read into that he is going to someday endorse Hillary Clinton, or at the very least advocate for voting for the Democrats against Donald Trump. I think that that is the most likely reading, or most accurate reading of what he has said. But we're still far from him actually coming out and saying that, at the very least. The fact that he talked about the future of the revolution as one that now is beyond one politician. It could be beyond him. It could be that what he's fighting for is more important than one politician, and maybe that means Hillary Clinton. But look, he immediately pivoted to what all of us can do. And obviously, he talks about the convention. He talks about what we need to do in that process, and we need to fight with the spotlight on Bernie Sanders as strong as it can be for those issues, and that's what I think that he plans to do. But he also talked about what everybody should do going forward from there, and whether it involves politics or not, since many of the things that he said we need more people doing are the sorts of socially conscious jobs that many people already have, but that don't necessarily get gigantic paychecks or a lot of publicity or fame or anything like that. And he also said, and he set up a portion of his website to help with this, that if we want to change this country, it cannot be about just the president. It needs to be from top to bottom. And the way for that to happen is not just supporting candidates like Bernie Sanders or those with the same values as you, but that you need to go out there and run. If you believe that you have the right positions on these issues, if you're driven by the right values, you need to prove it by going out there and becoming a politician yourself. The right sort of politician, most importantly. And some people will even see that as an admission that he's stepping back from the expectation that he'll win. I really think that it's to the side of that. Whether he wins or not, that's important. And there was a lot of that throughout his speech. Now, people are going to take from it what they will. I have seen people on Twitter, let me silence that. I've seen people on Twitter, I've talked to people who are very disheartened by this speech. People who are saying that they were tearing up, and I understand where you're coming from, because it does feel like a step back, a change in tactics. But as hardcore and as emotional as elections can be, the world goes on, regardless of who wins. If the candidate you love most in the world wins, the world goes on, and it doesn't always necessarily go the way you want. I was incredibly excited for Barack Obama, and he did not end up being all the things that I hoped that he would be. But he was a hell of a lot better than John McCain, a hell of a lot better than Mitt Romney. But think about all the social progress that we've had over the past 4 and 8 years, with gay marriage being legalized and marijuana becoming legal in many more parts around the world. There's experimentations with humane euthanasia. And there's so many policies like this. Women being allowed into combat roles in the military, the end of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. I mean, you could literally go on, and that's largely what the function of this channel is. Do you believe that we would have that under John McCain, that we would have it under Mitt Romney? And you might say, well, some of those didn't have to do with the president. Those were things that the Supreme Court did. And that's true. The Supreme Court with Elena Kagan and Sotomayor and theoretically, eventually, maybe Merrick Garland on it. What if those had been the picks of Mitt Romney? What if they had been the picks of John McCain? And the only reason I'm saying this is you can't be disheartened by if a win doesn't turn out the way you want, or even if you lose. The first election that I ever paid attention to was John Kerry, okay, because this was right in the thick of the Iraq War. And let me tell you, that was a long time ago now, but that was a scary fucking situation to become socially aware in. And the Patriot Act and all of the shit that he and Cheney were doing, and Kerry lost, and that was devastating. And Kerry was no Obama or Sanders, by the way, but he lost. But it's not the end. Think about how far we've come since then. And now, we're not just leaving an election with, oh shit, we lost the candidate that we want. Bernie Sanders is still going to be here, and we're still going to be here. And it's up to us now to make good, regardless of who wins the presidency, on the promise of Bernie Sanders and on the promise of what he represents. The fact that Bernie Sanders didn't suddenly make the country more progressive. The country became more progressive, and so it embraced Bernie Sanders. But that country is still out there, and those people are still out there. And though older folks in a lot of cases still voted for Hillary Clinton, and it tended to be the younger people who are supporting Bernie Sanders, in a year and in 4 years and in 10 years, those demographics will shift even more. And that is what Bernie Sanders was calling for, and that is what I am going to continue to fight for. As long as I'm on the air, and even when I'm not, if I ever run for office or if I don't, that is what I'm going to do. You can be disheartened, and I understand why you might be, but the work continues, and we could use as much help as we can get.